Good morning, good afternoon, Free Enterprise fans. It's Sunday, and it's the end of the second week of matches in the group stage of the Adamant Cup. So we've got our racers here looking to make that final push to try to make that qualification for a play-in or directly into the bracket rounds of this tournament. I'm Harump, and with me in the broadcast booth today is Rybot. How are you today?
I'm doing great, and I'm looking forward to this Blitz Whip group race. The Blitz Whip group is best described as a mess right now. We have a logjam of 4 players at the top right now, soapboxgamer being one of them, all tied at 2-1. So this is a very pivotal race between Charlie and Soapbox for who would actually be able to make it to the top and qualify for that automatic bracket spot, and who may have to make their way into the play-in game for the second spot coming out of this particular group.
Yeah, a mess would be describing it lightly. For sure here. Every win, every match is going to count ever more so here because you never know here how your opponents are going to do in their matchups. And each of them here will only have two matches remaining here, including today's. And look, over 7 objectives here, I have 0 objections to what I'm seeing. Your thoughts?
I'm thinking we may see music, as a recreational activity rather than a required activity, but still a lot of nice objectives here. Trade away the pink tail, so we have a guaranteed adamant armor coming toward us. Have Coco Forge, so we have a guaranteed shiny sword if we happen to find Excal. And launch the Falcon, so we get to see a hook route, whether our players want to do it or not.
Yeah, about the only I mean, there's as a spectator here, there's a lot of stuff you would like to see here, so there's lots of potential for fun speed bumps along the way, especially with that hook route here. A ribbon room that's 40 plus HP of potentially lots of fun too. And of course, all these key items could be buried behind something really, really, really nasty. I, for one, have been hoping to see all the messiness that may ensue. Of course, none of this messiness would be possible here without our behind-the-scenes help today. Rusta keeping track of our players' progress, and Neil Barry here for rolling the seed and for putting together the restream today.
Yeah, we'll be seeing shortly if Neil Barry decides to give us a very nasty or a very nice seed. He can be, he can go either way in this situation. But it seems kind of nice to begin with. We have a Kane starter. I mean, there are far worse starters out there. Kane, one of the better berserkers, one of the better starters in my opinion. What do you think, Haram?
Yeah, Kane's got a lot of tools available to him here, especially here with the looting routes that many of the runners are taking here. Ebon Castle being a play. Oh, well, we know who our dupe is, apparently.
Well, what's better than 1 Kane? 2 Kanes, apparently.
Well, that can also be up for me here, but yeah, if you, with T. Wilder Sean, if you happen to luck into, say, find 2 white spears lying around, a white spear and a Dragoon spear, a white spear and an Avenger sword, there's a lot of potential here for the early game, at least here, to be smooth sailing, but it depends on what they find here, because Kane's not going to start with much.
We have a little bit of divergence early on. We have Soapbox heading up to check backward. We have recklesscharlie heading on down to Eblin to start looting. And I can see the wisdom behind both of these. Soapbox may find an earth crystal or some other kind of nice item, maybe a hook to turn that pink tail in immediately from bedward, whereas Charlie, Eblin Castle is a great place to loot to find Kane weapons, and you have 2 of them, so you need to find quite a bit, and hey, there's a hook.
Yes, I think we're going to see the first calls of, for your clairvoyance. With that hook route here, of course, that hook route also has a gated character here, which could be a Cecil, it could be a Fu Soya.
Or it could be an Edward. I mean, it's up there right now. We just know it can't be a 3rd Kane, thankfully.
And I'm thinking here that was the second monster chest here in that same room, and that Charlie didn't accidentally open the same chest twice. I didn't see where the first one was, but I know it was on that side.
Yep, I believe we've seen at least 2 monster chests out of Charlie, so he should be finishing up with Evelyn shortly, probably within the next 2 minutes or so. Hopefully,
Cool.
heads him on over to the... Oh, there's monster chest number 3. That's a very
Yeah.
loaded central tower.
Yeah. Well, load it if you like, all your monsters. Well, it's like all your monsters, gathered close together here. Did find a heroine on that left hand side. Looks like Reckless Charlie is going to head back here to grab that heroine rope before looting at the left and right towers. Soapboxgamer bringing up the hovercraft here. Might be thinking this might be just prep play here for later on, or might be looking to peek that hook character right now.
Definitely turning that pigtail right now, or should be considering, in my opinion. The longer you have that adamant armor, the sooner you start the adamant advantage, and starting at the earliest 3 minutes is gigantic.
Yeah. But Soapbox is electing here to take that cane with the dancing dagger, and wanted to continue with the key item checks here. Finds a Gungnir spear, randomly lying around in the antlion cave.
Meanwhile, Charlie's being rewarded over here in Evelyn. Found an ogre axe for cane number 2. Found a white spear for cane number 1. A very nice cane weapon that will get him started on clearing this overworld very quickly.
An Artemis bow, glass hat as well here. So if you do find, say, a Rosa here or a Porum with a heroine robe, that's more attack power for you for the early game.
Yep, Charlie's very well situated. Charlie looks like he'd be heading to bedward next, so Adamant's advantage is not going to be in either player's camp for very long, regardless. I'm sure both will be turning it in the near term. And with that looting that Charlie did, that early white spear could really pay off and could give him that bit of equipment boost that will propel him out of soapbox in the short term.
Yeah, like it's the seed here can be fairly swingy here depending on the gear you find here. Soapboxgamer here only finding a lowly cabin at the antlion cave, so the Gungnir spear may have been the most valuable thing in that at that location. And we do see curse rings for sale. I didn't see where Charlie entered to here, but
this is Troy, I believe.
Troy? Alright, so there's our potentially here the anchor problem solved for you right away. If you have the 35,000 gil to spend.
Yeah, so Charlie's making some very fortuitous checks here. Many people, including myself too, will sometimes skip checking Troy shops and stuff like that. However, being rewarded with a curse ring early on, he has a lot more flexibility with the characters he takes for his particular group compared to Soapbox. Soapbox did not check these shops, so unless he happens to find a curse ring elsewhere, we'll probably be going through this with maybe a Iridia face down for the remainder of the seed.
Soapboxgamer here decided to go to Cave Evelyn here to start looting here. Found a monster chest in the very first chest he found. He opened, so we'll be able to loot all the way down here to the character check here, should he so choose.
Yep. Meanwhile, we have Charlie heading on up to Damsian, launching the hovercraft, and we'll see if Charlie decides to turn that pink tail immediately or follow Soapbox down the Cave Evelyn in order to check that gated character down there.
Yes. So far here, the looting hasn't been overly great here. There's money, but we're not seeing the explosive power here that you saw in Castle Evelyn here. As of yet here, that can change, of course, here because T Wildish is still pretty wild, depending on what one can find, but doesn't have the same equipment advantage yet here that Charlie has. And we see Odin at the Rubicante spot here, and a Rosa.
You're happy to see the Rosa. You're less happy to see the Odin. While both of our players do have access to an Adamant and will likely have it, Charlie does have it at the sub 7-minute mark. Soapbox probably a little bit after. If this hook route is required, and we're going to have to do it eventually due to having to launch the Falcon, but if we have to do it for underground access, your Adamant armor isn't going to protect you from Odin's Zantetsuken. And that spot, I believe, has about 25,000 HP. So without some type of lightning damage or anything like that, and Kane does not have a lightning weapon, you're not going to really have the ability to dump him too quickly. Soapbox, however, being rewarded with a white spear in that original Sailman chest over there in Cave Evelyn, so that kind of evens up the equipment advantage because Soapbox also found a Blizzard Spear pretty equivalent to the Ogre Axe that Reckless Charlie found for his second King.
Charlie is at Hops here, finds a Sid and a Dark Elf. Kane with a white spear. This will be quick work.
Very quick and a fair amount of XP for both of our base level Kanes here. I don't mind fighting Sid here, to be honest. You have an Ogre Axe for him, and in Charlie's case, you also have that Curse Ring to turn him into an anchor and still let him gain levels, gain HP, still be a somewhat functional member of the party.
Yeah, like with an Adamant armor here and party and the equipment you have right now here, even taking the rest of the trap chests in Evelyn here is certainly very viable.
Absolutely. I mean, a second Adamant is better than the first. Not as impactful as the first, but still a perfectly something that everyone would love to have. However, I think what Charlie and Soapbox may be hoping for in this particular party is an Avenger or two. Really speed up the offensive capability of both of those Kanes. Pretty much Kane's ultimate weapon, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Kane's already plenty fast as is here, and yeah, like when you compare it, when you pair that Avenger sword here with that Adamant armor, Kane gets a red glow in his eyes and very angry, and the party is better for it.
The Soapbox is deciding to do Cave Evelyn or Castle Evelyn here before turning in that pink tail. Interesting choice. We'll probably have a little bit of difficulty, however, doing any of the trap chests in here. So we'll just be pulling the same general loot that Charlie did, which I believe will be a white spear is probably the big call here. A heroine robe, arty bow as well, both useful, but I think you might have enough offense with your two Kanes already that Rosa may be a dedicated white mage early on rather than a warrior princess.
Reckless Charlie decided to reset out of that here. Apparently here was so insulted by the presence of the cabin here that says, no, I'm not even going to bother to walk out. I'm just going to pretend this never happened.
It's a good time save right now, but I'm just saying that when you're on the moon and you ran out of tents, you may wish you still had that cabin.
I'm not sure, like, I didn't see here if they started, or maybe it's already started off with a cabin or two here, but yeah. I'm sure, I think it might be one of those one-off situations if the, should that be the tipping point here. We do see the two guards attacking Kabul today.
Yeah, Baron not setting their best today. Charlie playing a little dangerously, attacking these guards directly, potentially triggering sizes, but with the power of that adamant armor and that white spear, takes care of them relatively quickly, and we will get our first check of the key item here at Football Defense.
Yep, we do see soapboxgamer here going for, looking to take on the trap chest now here. Two Grimmars hoping to roll lucky.
You could roll worse than that, but you could roll much better too. I don't think Shiva's enough to kill the Lami in the back, but might be no, unfortunately not enough. Here comes the bluster.
Reckless Charlie does find some value here from the King of Kabul with a tower key.
A hard required tower key at that, and we do have to destroy the super cannon.
Unfortunately, on Soapbox's side here, you didn't find luck here with rolling, say, that Bahamut here, or a successful Odin here with the Grimoires here, and Down goes Marty. Looks like Soapbox Gamer is going to go grab that adamant armor here to try to make taking on those trap chests here a little easier.
Absolutely. That adamant armor will make, I mean, the fight he was just in, I don't believe Bluster can get through adamant armor. Should give you resistance to instant death attacks, so it will trivialize all 3 fights in there, and Soapbox will be very happy to have that piece of equipment on his side. Notably, Charlie turned his in and got his adamant armor just prior to the 7-minute mark. We have about a 5-minute difference. I'm not sure if that was enough to make too much of an advantage for Charlie, but he did get through that blue defense much easier as a result of having that adamant armor.
Charlie now making his dive into Cape Eplin. Soapbox drops off the hovercraft at Eplin here, and looks like he'll make his way here to Football here to take for his guard fight.
I'm not sure. Did you happen to see what the shop was selling here in Evelyn?
And the item shop here had a Leviathan and elixirs as the big items here. Soapbox never did check the armor or weapon shops here though, so this is our first look at. Here, see, light sword, samurai bow here. Like, not a lot there because we've already looted better equipment.
A lot of disappointment here, yeah.
So, yeah, of course, with the Reckless Charlie is going to loot. Also do the full loot. I believe he did see it. Peek the first chest.
Now, Charlie had the choice here, which is interesting, which is, hey, you have an adamant armor, you have a white spear, and I think we started with a Bacchus. At least I saw a Bacchus over in Soapbox Gamer's side. Do you just dive the hook route right now?
It's certainly worth consideration here, but the wild card here would be who's in that King Queen Evelyn spot, because there's a lot of nastiness at these low levels here. Potentially a lot much nastier bosses that could be there here. If you find a Dark Knight Cecil, for example, this party is going to get through that, get past that spot at that location. At these levels.
Absolutely. There's plenty of things that King Queen Ebla that can slow down Charlie. But at the very least, though challenging, that Odin is possible by thunderstrucking him. And with an adamant cane, you can survive the attacks without needing any blinks or anything like that. As long as we have a Thor Rager, some sort of lightning damage, that is a possibility. But I'm just not sure if Charlie has been practicing that or not.
Yeah, that's if it's something that you haven't practiced here, it be nerve-wracking here to try to pull it off in a live race out of the blue. It can be done. The first time I ever did the Thunderstruck strat was in a live race. My first attempt ever doing that there, but I would say I kind of lucked up into that one. But I'm not sure how familiar Charlie would be here with setting up that strat.
Better lucky than good sometimes. That's pretty much the only time I ever pulled off a Thor Rage Thunderstruck as well. But looks like Charlie has decided to finish off his overworld checks instead, heading up Mount Ordeal first, and I wouldn't be surprised if he pops into Baron in shortly after, but if we don't find some kind of chaining key item or underground access from one of those 2 locations, we are dedicated to that hook route.
Soapbox looking. Let's see if we can get lucky here with the chocobo chest here. Only finds a succubus. Did take a shot of note here. Soapbox David did shop the item shop. He did find illusions and silk webs, and I believe purchased. I know they were available for purchase there, but now making their way. Both of our runners here now making their way up Mount Ordeals. Soapbox is looting a bit along the way, whereas Reckless Charlie just making a beeline towards the summit.
I think after full looting Eblin Cave and Eblin Castle, Charlie believed that he has had enough, and there is no more looting to be had in the seed. Hey, there's BKC, so at least we don't have to worry about him being on the King Queen Eblin spot. That's a positive for both of these runners.
Yeah, like this boss is really rude at a lot of places. This is definitely not one of them. One of the weakest spot for attack power in the game. So yeah, they'll stand there, absorb the tickles from the Dark Knight Cecil here, and that'll be the end of that.
Now we're seeing something interesting on Soapbox side. Has that adamant armor, but he hasn't equipped it to a character yet. Potentially because he may be waiting for a better character to equip it to. There is an issue or a bug, a feature, I'm not sure what you would call it, but if you equip an adamant armor to someone, remove it later, the character you remove it from has enhanced vulnerability to the 3 elements, to the point where if it tickles you, it will actually just kill you instead. So I believe that maybe Soapbox's his angle in this situation, maybe waiting for potentially an edge or a Cecil to show up. But we'll be missing out on the advantage of the adamant armor in the short term.
Yeah, it's we'll take a little bit more short-term pain here to try to make that pay off a little bit more here. Depends on what characters put it on here, and depending on who you find here, you may be jettisoning that that character anyways here. So it is interesting here to see so far they were not going for that immediate advantage here.
Yeah, especially because you have 2 canes. I would assist that both of our runners, if they found an edge or if they happen to find a Cecil, one of those canes probably leaves. I'd say the pink one. I prefer the pink.
Yeah, both of them will betray you in the end, though.
I mean, one's the good cane and the other one is the evil twin. You just have to figure out which one has the twirly mustache.
Yeah, and we are seeing here the effects of having, number one, an extra character and having one with an adamant armor here. We're seeing here that its attacks are a little less effective on the Soapbox side here, and having fewer attacks at once.
Hey, your favorite item? Guess what we're doing?
We're diving the hook route.
Not so fast, my friend. We still have Baron in.
Ah, yes. If we find nothing there, we're diving the hook route.
But that was an Ogo Pogo. Nope rope sitting up there in the changing room in Mount Ordeal. A nice place to find him, at least for our runners. I'd like to see him, somewhere else, a little more challenging. Would have been nice at the King Queen Eblin spot, but happy. I'm sure both of our runners are happy to find him up here. Not too much of a challenge. I don't believe he even got his big wave off for Reckless Charlie due to his cane being so quick.
Yeah, it's not a speedy spot here, so yeah, you are. Unless you get a Golbez up there, any boss there isn't going to be doing much of won't have time to do much of anything. Golbez only gets to do stuff here because of scripting.
But Charlie is through Ordeal's first. Soapbox still up there in the changing room, so that's a little sign of how quickly, as you mentioned earlier, the adamant armor can speed up these early game fights. We'll be hitting Baron in probably about a minute or 2 before Soapbox does.
Yep. Take safe here, and we'll find out who's having drinks.
We have White Mage, but would you like second White Mage?
I'm more concerned about carding policies at the inn here. I don't think form can be legally served here.
She had a really believable fake ID.
I'm fake
totally
ID.
22.
And it's vomit time because we got Blarg. Fortunately, Blarg Wyvern is extremely slow here.
Wyvern is quite slow. This is one of the few spots in the game with variable agility. I believe between 7 to 9 agility. So a quite slow spot.
Yeah.
Doesn't even get a Blarg off.
Yeah.
And also it's just slow because that Rosa in the middle has a heroin robe. So she is extremely fast. We get a package as a, for our troubles, which is a required key item. Objective number 5 down there, burn village myths with the package. We may see Charlie and Soapbox do that sooner rather than later because, again, restricted characters are great. And we may want to check to see if that's a Cecil, a Fu, someone who can make our hook route, which is becoming more and more likely as we run out of key item checks here on the overworld, easier. But I think we'll also still see music before we dive that hook route, much to your disappointment.
It'll only be disappointing here until you get to the end and find out here that you never need to do it in the first place. Right here, just cleaning out the inventory here. Just you never want to run that inventory boss here. We'll pick up the 3 more star bills to replace the 2 that got used up in the Wyvern fight. You never want to be without in a spot here where you need a star veil and you don't have any.
Charlie appears to be knocking. I thought he was going to head on down the hook route immediately, but instead wants to do these trap shifts that he skipped earlier. Could pick up something really nice here.
Yeah. Also, it is an experience boost. At this point here, like aside from the package check here, there's no other character checks here. So, if you decide that you aren't going to take the time here for that. To peek the package character right now here. This is the part you're locked into right now here, so getting experience on this group here will be important here if the hook route does turn out to be the required route underground.
Yep, and Charlie will be at an advantage because he did find that first ring earlier, so have a much easier time managing his agility for that particular hook route. Unless Soapbox decides to check the Troy armor shop sometime in the near future.
And I don't see that happening unless there's a reason to draw him there at this point. Well, we've got weaponry for Cecil, should we find him in the short term. Yeah, about an Excal.
We'll get another Excal eventually through forging, but it's always nice to have a spare. We know that Cecil cannot be the dupe this particular seed, but maybe if we find an edge, we can throw it. Soapbox, unfortunately, finding that Wyvern in spot number 2. I don't believe that Rosa was fast enough to get a Star Veil off, or Soapbox just got caught by surprise, so taking a wipe there.
Yeah, this the Rosa on Soapbox side here doesn't have any of that agility boost. Doesn't have the arrow roll to boost that agility. I believe it just had the Artemis bow. So may not have been as speedy here as Charlie's side. This the Lamia this trap chest fight here will be done shortly. We'll find out what's here in a moment here while Soapbox here makes second attempt at the Wyvern. Arcane's online now. There's the Avenger.
That is the item you wanted to find from here. I would have been disappointed if I was Charlie finding that Excal. Avengers are what's really going to carry you through this hook route and the remainder of the seed, just based on the party you currently have. Soapbox, unfortunately, taking a second wipe to that Wyvern. Instead, heading on up to check that music, maybe find something to make that Wyvern a little easier.
Yeah. Trying to recalibrate here. Also, like the temperature, just not to in a scene where you do run into like a hiccup that you can't make your way through here, it can be tempting here to keep making repeated attempts here. Soapbox here decided, just step away here, maybe take away that little bit of frustration right now here. Take down another objective, no matter how much I object to this objective. Just to get things back on track, both in terms of progression through the rest of the seed, as well as get your mind back into the right mindset.
Absolutely. Sometimes you encounter a challenge that you think you should be able to handle, but you just can't for one reason or another. And the best thing to do is just walk away, come back to it later, stop banging your head against a wall that you seem to be having trouble with. So Soapbox will be giving us our music check momentarily. Reckless Charlie, however, in the meantime, done with Eblan Castle, find 3 very, very nice swords, 1 Avenger, 2 Excals. So no additional Adamant armor, but 2 tier 8s and a tier 7. That's a very good result for Reckless Charlie. Taking these 2 sailmen, maybe trying to spike 1 more nice item before heading down to take on that Odin on the hook route. But it's time for us to be quiet, I guess, because here comes the music check.
Yes, Eddie will play a song. I hope he doesn't turn his fingers into hamburger making process. Shred word is a thing, but I'm contractually obligated to be quiet now. And with that, Soapbox Gamer does get through the CPU with some extended music and perhaps a bit of an orb grind to get a few extra additional experience points out of that.
And a Baron key for his troubles, which is required. Hey, music was required. Doesn't that make you happy?
I'm in the process of filing a bug report right now.
Sorry, no refund.
Didn't ask for a refund, but because, believe me, I've asked many times.
So in the meantime, Charlie's been working on this hook route, and we've seen a lot of developments during that extended orb grind. Got through the King Queen Elbow spot, which was the dolls, not once but twice, because unfortunately took a wipe to that Odin from the Odin attack. Here it comes again, wiping the party again, except for this second king, who very successfully jumped over that Odin attack. That king will be standing back up, Avengered. We'll get a couple more attacks off, maybe get enough damage to start the crumble.
So you're going to take a bit of a nap here because he now has that Baron key here. We'll likely be making at least a check of the to liberate the castle for another character, another key item check here, which maybe will end up being a magma key. If it does end up being a magma key here, and Soapbox Gamer does get that underground access right away here, this could be something that will definitely swing the advantage in his favor.
Yeah, sadly, Charlie having a second wipe down here at the Odin location. A very difficult fight, Odin, at the Rubicon spot, just due to the amount of HP he has, and the fact that if you haven't done a bit of a grind, that Odin Zantetsuken does quite a bit of damage, as we've seen.
Yeah, like we see, that attack here do significantly higher amounts of damage at other spots here, but even at the Rubicon spot here, it's just enough here. Like we're seeing, 800, 900, like around 1,000 around that area of damage here, and that party here is just shy of that here. There are a few trap chests which are still available, I believe. I don't believe recklesscharlie's checked with the 4 Mad Ogre chest, trap chest here, but even that here I don't think would have the HP gain here to put the team above that hump here to just be able to live past that attack.
Yeah, maybe with a few life glitch ogres it could, but I don't believe Charlie checked it as you said. Did, however, check the Staleman on the way down in Emlyn Cave, got a Zeus Gauntlet for his trouble from that. So again, very good equipment. Charlie's loot game has been on point, but still has run into a brick wall that is Odin here. Soapbox may also be down here struggling with this fight in the near term as well, depending on what Baron provides us.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, we've got Soapbox hitting on the Asura here. Berserk's the Rosa here. I suspect that means she's got mute arrows, or an elven bow, or just wants to put more damage through here. That Cure 4 will be a full heal though.
Yep, unfortunately, a little bit of rough timing, but should be fine here. And down goes Asura. So we'll see who's on the Baron throne. At the very least, we know it can't be a Wyvern.
Yeah. Still a bunch of. Yeah, it really could be any boss here because, like, yeah, because we already have a form of underground access here. It can be like this character can be gated or ungated. Yeah, there's like the Golden would still be brewed here, for example. Also, among a few other options here. This one, we're gonna be fine with here. It's gonna be a just the Mylon and his friends.
So Charlie taking out Odin for the third time. We'll see if this time goes a little better. Looks like he may be trying to jump over these Odins onto Sukins. Didn't get it this time, unfortunately. So Odin 3, Charlie 0 at the moment.
Yeah, it's tough to the timing here is tough if you're trying to do the Thunderstruck strats here to be able to survive two of them here and then get the timing right here to tank the hit, and then tank the initial attack here after the second Zantek Sukin, and then have get the your Thor Rage here, like the spell here, cast in the exact window in which Odin can be taken down.
Yep. So those who haven't seen Thunderstruck before or don't know what we're talking about, Odin will he'll attack 3 times and then do his Santosuken attack. He'll then attack 2 times and then do Santosuken a second time. The third time around, he'll attack once or just raise his blade immediately, and you have a very small window to hit him with a lightning spell. And if you do, he will die immediately. And by the way, that was 3 out of 4 times that Charlie summoned Bahamut to kill those dolls. I want to know what he's doing so I can replicate.
Yeah, every time I cast Grimoire here, it's either Chocobo here or an Odin that doesn't work. What gives?
Yeah. Charlie, tell me your secrets after the race, please. So out comes the Avenger again on Charlie's side for Kane. With only 25k HP, man, Charlie's getting close, but he's not crossing that threshold by trying to damage races. If he is going to try to Thunderstruck, however, he may have an easier time if he tries to do the jumps with the Kane that has the Adamant armor on, which he currently is this time around, so maybe a little bit of luck this time.
Soapboxgamer does liberate Baron Kasser, does find a pan, which will be great once you get underground, and we're able to as a result here will likely only be double dipping football as opposed to triple dipping it. But unless Soapboxgamer wants to make a check at the Baron basement here, will need to be headed underground as well.
So Charlie almost had that Kane survived Zantosuken, but landed too early, or not landed too early, but queued up that jump a second time too much and missed his opportunity to Thunderstruck. However, this Kane still is going to continue jumping, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Odin for Charlie 0.
Yeah, like if you miss that if you miss the window here, you have to go through the cycle again because it's 1, 2, and then you have that window here. So if you miss that window here, it's 2 more. Outside of here, then you have to go through those old cycles again here before you get another chance to Thunderstruck Odin.
Oh, Odin's on our side this time.
Yeah, and the dolls conveniently his one of the few bosses in the pool here that Odin will work with.
Primarily because the back dolls are vulnerable to, they don't have the boss bit, whereas bosses that do have the boss bit, generally not vulnerable to Odin. Regardless, Soapboxgamer was 0-2 against this Wyvern. Looks like we'll be 1-2 with Yang being fast enough to throw a Star Veil up here, but only a small amount of time for Soapbox to recover from this situation.
Yeah, here now has to be able to take down their main damage. And while there are worse rolls to get here, it's still going to be short here.
I'm afraid Soapbox has done maybe half of the HP, a little over half of that Wyvern, but I don't believe Yong's going to have the damage to knock it down before Wyvern reflects a nuke off itself and kill that Yong.
Yeah, now, Soapbox Center does, at the very least, it is at least using the J items here, which can't be reflected. Because Wyvern here, the next move here will be to cast Wall. And yeah, there we see something you don't see often here. You see, I'm not sure if that was a mismenu here, but you see Yang kind of bare, but since Yang has a Star Veil here, it reflects.
Unfortunately, Odin 5, Charlie 0. And it looks like Soapbox is still in this. Down goes Wyvern, but
so you have one
finish the job.
And he's trying to just trying to get another, like, just to get squeeze as many turns as he can.
All right, Grimoire again. Charlie's 6th attempt gets an Ifrit. I mean, better than nothing. Still one shot to everything.
Yeah. So is going to try to jump over Wyvern before the nuke goes out. Watching over in Remedy phase, but he's got some time here because Wyvern will cast Wall again. If Wyvern lives, which, fortunately for Soapbox Gamer, that is that fight done with.
So that is Soapbox Gamer 1, Wyvern 2. Soapbox Gamer wins. Congratulations. We'll see if he checks that package that he's about to get here. Meanwhile, Charlie is deciding to save after getting through those dolls at the King Queen Hubba spot. Tired of doing that fight, may believe that he has run out of luck when it comes to using those Grimoires, but is not giving up on this Odin.
Yeah, you sort of have to respect the tenacity of this here, but with each attempt here that isn't successful here, you are giving up more time here to Soapbox Gamer to catch up, and we're seeing here, that Soapbox is, getting that advantage here in terms of being able to complete, more checks in the meantime. We do see here there is a Palom at this spot here. I'm almost tempted here to reset out of this here and have it clear out this objective later on.
Yeah, there's definitely the temptation to do that, because if you do find a Sand Ruby later, and there's a character in that bed you want, whether it's a Fusoya, whether it's a Cecil, you're going to have to sit through the Kaipo Inn scene where you rescue this Palom before you can actually turn in that Sand Ruby. I don't believe either one of our runners have checked that bed, so we don't know who it actually is.
Yeah, you're like, if you're committing here to do the package, cleaning up this objective now here, you're pretty much foregoing, saying that I'm going to fade that Sand Ruby check here for the rest of the game, no matter who's in that bed. You don't want to go through the cutscene here to see who that character is here, only to find out here that it's a character you don't want.
All right, so Charlie's approaching this Odin fight, round 7, I believe, with a little bit of a different approach. So he has that Kane up there, Avengered, Berserked, and using the Kane's attacks to time the ticks that go by to know when he needs to jump. The Kane unfortunately goes down now due to that Zantetsuken, but did get that first jump off. Kane here, the one with the adamant armor that just landed, can either try to tank the second Zantetsuken, or can try to jump again, this time without the assistance of the Berserked Kane. And if he's successful in either situation, he will have his opportunity to drop that Thor Rage that he had and finish his fight.
Doesn't get the jump off in time here, but the Kane does live here. Now, I think the timing here might be off now here, because this is the window, if I'm not mistaken. This would have been the window here for the might get a chance here. No, doesn't yet. Yeah, the jump count late here, so didn't have the time here to get the Zantatsuken ready here. Soapbox Game here is going to commit to taking the Palom, though. Here does go all the way here to Kaipo here, finds the elements. We don't even get the quarter lake here because, well, Mile decided, to fall over before that even happened.
So Soapbox may want this Palom maybe as an anchor for this hook route. He otherwise doesn't have a very good option as an anchor. You could make the Yang make it, I guess, and turn him into an anchor. Instead deciding, you know what, I don't need a second Kane, which is an interesting approach. That Yang, I think, is a better endgame character than the Kane, but you need a lot of levels in order to turn him into something serviceable, and we are far away from that, unfortunately.
Pick some cabins here, but in keeping the Kane here, maybe thinking ahead here to that Odin fight here. If Yang here can get a Thunderclaw, pair that here so like with the Poison Axe, or if you have a fight a Cat Claw as well here, that's gonna make the Odin fight much more smoother sailing for him.
That's true, and that may be what he's looking for right now, a Thunderclaw. As we mentioned earlier, Kane doesn't have any Thunder-aligned weapon, and Odin will take, I believe, 4 to 8 times damage from a Thunder-based weapon. Yang does have that Thunderclaw, you're right. That could actually speed up the fight and maybe make a DPS race viable. However, Subbox would also probably need to find a few more items, potentially that Avenger that we found earlier in the trap chest in Castle Eblin, in order to really make it safe.
Soapbox Gamer here right now having a heck of a time here with the residents of Agert, looking to do their best Kaipo lady or impression in terms of getting out of there. Soapbox Gamer, having done all the available checks on the overworld save for one, is finally making his way into Cape Evelyn here for the full dive, seemingly.
Sadly, that Kane jumped a little too early, and Odin takes it again.
Yeah, and recklesscharlie here saying, enough's enough, I'm going to head out of here.
Or maybe looking for the Mad Ogres.
Yeah. I mean, recklesscharlie here, I suspect what he may be thinking right now, I need to do something different to try to get through. Try to get progression through the rest of the sea here. Whether that be trying to get that experience here, or taking on something else. And looks like he is making the full trip out.
So Charlie definitely feels behind right now, taking 8 or 9 wipes to that Odin. Soapbox is indeed up 2 key item checks, Liberate Baron as well as Cave Magnes. But looking at the levels and HP that Soapbox Gamer's characters have right now, he is going to have just as much, if not a more difficult time with that Odin than Soapbox did. Or I'm sorry, than Charlie did.
I mean, like, in a scene like this here, like, if we're 50 minutes in here and we don't have underground access yet here, despite the fact that we know that Soapbox Gamer is comfortably ahead right now, I don't even think, like, Soapbox Gamer may not feel that way.
Really? I think it's really difficult to tell who's currently ahead right now. Charlie just has still such a loot advantage over Soapbox that the 2 key item checks are nice, but Charlie could actually, I think, with the equipment he has, the Avenger, the Adamant Armor, the accidental Chocobo pickup, that he could handle that Baron basement throne that Soapbox decided to fade.
Yeah, like, again, like, it's like certainly stuff that's up in the air here. I think more it's tough to feel ahead, because we don't have, like, we've got the foreknowledge of being able to see here where both runners are at here, which obviously our opponents are the runners here don't have here. You're looking at that clock there. You have the pressure of being in that race here. It can be tough to to gauge, you know, your how you're doing against your opponents here. But when you see that much time here, and you see here that you're still on the overworld, that you may feel you're doing okay here, but I don't think you can ever really feel great.
Oh, absolute agreement. Both of these racers, Charlie and Soapbox, both feel way behind. Soapbox taking those 2 wipes to Wyvern, Charlie taking 8 or 9 wipes to Odin. There is no world where that happens to you and you feel like you're comfortably ahead whatsoever. So they're both racing like they're behind, and it'd be interesting to see how they go about handling the situation, because when you're behind, or when you feel behind, you start taking risks.
And speak of the devil, so we'll start here, you know, find him. Well, if Young didn't have, like, I didn't see what Young had, if he had the Thunderclaw right away, but if he didn't, there was your Thunderclaw right there.
Very useful. That Yang, however, may need to get that adamant armor swapped onto him in order to survive Odin's initial blow. That strengthening will help as well, in addition to the boost drop that they have.
Yeah,
But hey, it's time for more music, though.
Reckless here makes relatively short work of the CPU fight here. Soapbox Gamer did, you know, loot a few more. Did take on the Mad Over chest there. Found a siren, which will be great here once you get underground or to the moon here if you need that little boost here, but not as effective here in the short term.
Nope, I'm sure not what Soapbox Gamer was looking for. Finds his dolls. Let's see if he's just as lucky on his Grimoire rolls as Charlie was, or he'll just issue the Grimoire and throw some viruses out instead on that Palom.
Now, if they don't happen to take down the Valorant doesn't have to take down here the doll to the back here. We did pick up an extra hourglass along the way, so you can prevent, you know, that from happening potentially in time here. But it's looking here just to see if we can get through the rest of these dolls. And we do have the big doll now, but
very punchy, but still should be very doable with that adamant armor that I'm not sure who currently has equipped. It doesn't appear to be the Young.
Yeah. But, you know, it looks like it's going to get through here the rest of the fight here. The final bit of final hit points taken down.
So, Soapbox with that Yang has an alternative way to beat this. As you mentioned, that Thunderclaw will do bonus damage against that Odin, but Yang gets something that the other characters don't, which is a ton of HP growth early on for just a few levels. Now, Yang isn't there yet. I believe, is still under 1,000 HP, but could gain enough HP to be able to just easily tank those Zantasukins, and then just knock, hit, cure 3, hit, cure 3, hit, cure 3, and get through the fight that way.
Yeah, we're going to see here the Zeus Gong with the adamant armor, the bandana on Yang here. So maxing out those strength boosts here. And yeah, Odin looks like he's going to be in for a very unpleasant time.
We'll see if Soapbox Gamer can get through this in a relatively quick amount of time. But again, Odin is one of the most challenging fights you can find here at the Rubicon spot on a required hook route. So bravo to Neobari for rolling this masterpiece.
Another thing that will help in Soapbox favor here has the Palom, has a black mage. Lit 2 is still Lit 2 virus here. Those are still, those are also going to be effective.
So we do have the adamant armor on Yang, taking 1 damage per hit, 1,200 damage per virus, 2k a hit coming out from Yang, which seems like a lot, but it's pretty comparable to the amount of damage that Adamant and Avenger Kane was doing when Charlie attempted. So this may not be enough damage, unfortunately. We will see, however, if they can survive without the Sukin attack.
Yeah. We're starting to see, like, those may have been low rolls, like we're starting to see 35, out of the Yang as well here. Looks like Rosa has light arrows as well here. Those are hitting for them. So we're seeing.
We are seeing enough because down goes Odin. That is a lot of damage coming out of Soapbox Gamer's side, and he is through Odin on the first attempt. So well done to Soapbox.
Yeah, the difference there, I think, was a full party contribution. Everyone here was just committed here to getting enough damage here, so we don't even see that first Zantatsuken.
So I guess at least here from the commentator's box, we can say that Soapbox has taken a definitive lead by getting through that fight on his first attempt. Charlie is still catching up by knocking out the check that he faded earlier. Will be done with his Baron Liberation in the very short term. But yeah, at the moment, Soapbox is just gaining ground on Charlie.
And we see Rubicante at the top of the tower. We know that is Rubicante because the Elements boss is. The Elements is was at the with the package check here.
So Haram chat, I just want to say happy 1 hour mark, and we have the Falcon launch. That is the 4th objective complete for Soapbox Gamer, and he has a lot of options available to him. You have a pan, you have a tower key. Where do you go?
You are landing that airship down. You're going going up the tower. You're going to check your objectives. You have the tower key here, so you're taking. You still need to find a darkness crystal. You still need to find both pieces of the forge here. You're gonna destroy the super cannon, and you're gonna check top the tower. And you're gonna finish that here, and never have to visit this place ever again.
Meanwhile, as Soapbox climbs the tower, Charlie gets his pan, completes his Baron Liberation. Now he has a choice. With that Avenger, with that Adamant, do you go down and knock out whatever is down there at the Odin throne?
In his position here, after you have seen that much of a speed bump in progression here so here, I think you definitely take at the very least a peek.
I agree, and by using that tent, I think Reckless Charlie agrees as well. We'll be seeing what's down here. Soapbox Gamer faded the Odin throne, so there's something of high value here. A Darkness Crystal, for example, a Sand Ruby, or even an Earth Crystal that could lead to additional value like a Cecil or a Fu, which could really trivialize that Odin fight. This would be a huge play for Reckless Charlie.
Yeah, like like even if it's one half of the forge and and Soapbox Gamer finds darkness early here, that could drive, Soapbox Gamer to do the moon checks here. That might buy a little time. We do see a blue robe at the bottom.
See a little bit of a pause, and we have an alt gauntlet. Hey, at the very least, it is a grind.
I wouldn't. Well, imp grinding maybe not so. Conjure imp grind isn't. I don't think is a. It'd be hilarious, but
You've heard of orb grind, but have you heard of imp grind? It's an infinite grind. Infinite grind? Never mind, I tried.
no. No.
How about a butterfly grind?
We're getting there.
Now, I may have missed it, but did Soapbox fade the top of tower? The Penguinator special.
Yeah, he did not check the top tower here. Just as that same shirt. Finds a shirt for a Rosa or another Cecil or a Orem, but that's it here.
Go ahead.
I think I think that's like potentially a side effect of feeling behind here. Like Soapbox is gamers ahead here, but if you're feeling behind, you're going to need to take those risks. And a Penguinator special only feeding here the top of the tower here and only committing here to the can room here is definitely a risk here that one would take if you're behind. if you think you're behind.
Yeah, it's very insightful and probably very accurate for Soapbox Gamer side. Probably feels behind, Charlie doubly so. But yeah, fading the top of tower could really come back and cost him. It's a huge risk. That is a K main spot. It has one of the highest locations to find a key item in the game, and we still need 3 of them.
Yeah, and like it depends. Like this is. These risks are giving the other here the opportunity here to get back his brace here, or steadily, depending on who you are here. So the side effect of having such a awful early game, such a rude early game, is that anything can now really happen in the late game. Like this can still swing wildly in the other direction.
Absolutely. If that top of tower has value, Soapbox has probably just decided I am going to fade this for the rest of the game until it's my very last check. So that, as mentioned, that's a huge risk. We're about to find out what Charlie gets here for his trouble at the Odin throne. Gets a rat tail.
Rats.
We can turn that in. That's Schrodinger's potential go mode. We'll find out in a moment, I'm sure.
Actually experience the boot here. So if this rat tail doesn't end up being a magnet key, it's gonna, it's a little more, cushioning here on our characters here to, eventually get through that Odin spot.
We find a darkness crystal down here at the Feymar's freebie. That could be actually bad for Soapbox Gamer.
This could be very bad for Soapbox Gamer. If you feel behind, you may want to try to push Moon earlier and hope that your opponent, went underground and check those spots. And if there's value in the rat tail or the top of tower, this could be ample opportunity for Charlie to close that gap.
Absolutely. We'll find out momentarily, I think, what is behind that rat tail once Charlie checks it. But if we see something, if we see any part of Forge come from that rat tail turn in, then this is way closer than you think, because that is going to be a spot that's faded for a long time on Soapbox Gamer side.
And it looks like the Feymark, I believe that was the Kanatsu in the Leviathan spot and a Dr. Dialogue at the Asura spot.
That's correct. That turtle, not what you want to see there. So I think that'll be faded for quite a while. Dr. Luggage, probably a lot more doable. We do have those lightning arrows. We have that Thunder Claw for Yang. Dr. Luggage quite vulnerable to those due to machine weakness. So Soapbox Gamer saying, no, not right now. Deciding to fade all the K summon spots except for apparently Sylph Cave, which we'll be checking shortly.
Well, you have that pan, so you're going to get all the value here that you can out of there. So again, we're talking 3 key item checks.
3 key items. That's Sheila 1, Sheila 2, and the Pan Bonk. We get a Sand Ruby from Reckless Charlie's side. That's his 9th key item. So, still not quite in grind mode. But that Sand Ruby still maintained the value.
Yeah.
He checked the package earlier, saw the Palom, reset out of it. So he will not have to sit through any type of cutscene once he enters Kaipo to check whichever character happens to be there.
And if it happens to be a Cecil, or Fu for that matter, I don't think we've seen really any edge weapons so far. So like the edge would normally be a decent pickup here, but I don't know what we got for him.
I've seen definitely a mute knife. I've seen a long sword and a boomerang to back row him. So not too bad. Wouldn't mind seeing the adamant transition to him. And Edge can also equip the Thunderclaw. So if Charlie happens to find that, he's got a better Yang, I guess, at least in the midterm or early term.
We are going to see what we have here. We have a Tella, and Triple's going to take.
I like Tella. Tella is really underrated by a lot of players, but tons of utility, in addition to the fact that, hey, I can cast Lit 3 on this Odin too, and I'm an excellent anchor throughout the entire game.
Yeah, like Tella is a toolbox. And that here, like, he's not going to take over a game here, but he's certainly going to help you out here. It's not only here those level 3 elemental spells here. A Cure 4 here, Zerk, Blink, Wall, Slow even here, if need be. Even a Toad or Stone, for example. Is going to break the game here, but going to get bail you out of a lot of sticky situations.
So we see some interesting developments. So Soapbox turned in Sheila 1, turned in Sheila 2, got rewarded with an Adamant. So he is 1 key item away from go mode after finding that Darkness Crystal and decides, you know what? I feel behind. I'm going to the moon. There are 7 key item checks up there if you include K value, each of which could have that Legend Sword, in addition to a ton of XP from all those bosses. There's also a character check up there on the Lunar Dais. It could be a Fu. It could be a Cecil. Let's go. Which is an interesting gamble because he is again fading a few K main checks back here on Earth. He's fading the top of tower. He's fading Dwarf Castle.
And also, note here, of those 6 remaining key items here, 2 of them are gating key items. We know where the rat tail is here, which Soapbox here won't find on the moon here, but he can still find a Luke. He can still find an Earth crystal. So, if those are found, either of those are found early here, will we see Soapbox Gamer, again here, take that gamble and bail out and make those checks?
Yeah, it's an interesting. It's hard to get into the mind of a player who feels behind. Because they will play a little more variation than you would expect from a player. So yeah, Soapbox Gamer's next move is definitely a mystery to me. Should he find one of those gating key items? Charlie, meanwhile, heading back down the hook route again, has a word to say with Odin. Now that he has a little more level than his Kane, probably feeling a little more confident this time around.
Yeah, we hope that confidence translates into a victory here. Soapbox Game here did take go visit the moon shop here. Purchased 3 coffins, presumably for precisely 3 dark imps. Can you count it? Because I believe Well, that's the one boss left here that would be vulnerable to coffins. We've seen the guards. We've seen the kind of soldiers, and we've seen the guards already.
Yeah, we're pretty much out of other free bosses that are at least vulnerable to that type of item. We find an edge on the moon. Interesting to see if Soapbox takes him now. I'm not sure if he has sufficient equipment that he's willing to drop one of his melee for the edge, but it's not too late in the siege to do it.
I think if you're anyway going to drop the Yang here, and well, Edge came pre-back row glitched. No, but long sword here. Can't equip the Moot Knife. Can't equip the Thunder Claw. Gonna see, be able to see that boost here with the. Looks like Edge is the new Yang.
Edge is the guy today. So that is a very, very well-equipped Edge. You won't find anything better for his head, chest, or glove slot other than that Zeus Gauntlet, that Adamant Armor, and that bandana. The weapons, while they're not Murasame's, Masamune's, they're about as next best as you're going to get. The Mute Knife attacks mage weakness, has about the same amount of attack power as the long sword, which is just one step below a ninja sword. So this Edge is going to be doing a lot of work, even though he's base level. Meanwhile, Reckless Charlie threw that Odin. I think it was like Reckless Charlie 1, Odin 9, but it doesn't matter. That 1 is all that matters. Reckless Charlie underground.
And it'll be interesting to see here what he does going forward here. Are we going to see similar risks, gambles here, things taken? Or are we going to see, different gambles here?
I would expect him to follow at least Soapbox Gamer up the tower immediately, because as Jbrun has said in chat, do your objectives. Hashtag team do your objectives tends to win out on this particular flag set. So, but we may see a little bit of deviation. May check that top of tower spot while he's up there to check that super cannon spot. If there is exactly a legend sword up there, this is quite the swing.
And if you see that darkness crystal here, like at that point, you're thinking maybe my opponent went to the moon first, and maybe I just cleared out the underground.
It could be, or if he sees those two bosses in Feymarch, he may feel that my opponent didn't do this, I'm going to do this. Because I wiped that Odin so many times, I feel so far behind, I have to do unorthodox things in order to try to give myself a chance to win.
And we're seeing so much. Do a little prep work here. Going bottom up here, going for the interesting, the White Spear altar first.
Interesting. We have 9 key items on Soapbox Gamer side, so probably looking for a 10th key item before doing that ribbon room. But I also just spied something very interesting on Reckless Charlie's side. Did a very cheeky check for chest over here in Sylph Cave. Pulled an Avenger, a second one, for his second cane. So both Avengers, 2 canes. Let's go.
Yeah, that's gonna make a lot, like the Feymarch potentially a lot more attractive.
Not only that, if we don't find any Bacchus wines, who cares?
That as well. On Soapbox Gamer's attempt to find a 10th key item here. Yeah, King Queen Evelyn, nice and free. No complaints there.
A nice little infusion of XP. Granted, I said a little XP. It's only 31k here, the lowest spot for XP on the moon.
Yeah, but if you don't have to do anything for it, and we find one of those 2 remaining gated key items we have that's undiscovered. The Luca key.
So Soapbox saying, I like the Luca key. It's a 10th key item. I'll now get 200k XP from this ribbon room rather than 100k. But doesn't seem to have any interest in chasing it right now. Perfectly understandable. Perfectly agree. You already faded a bunch of K main spots on the Earth. Why would you go chase this one right now after all?
And you might as well do this one here because you need to. And in the ribbon room today here we have Mini Blarg.
The very friendly moon.
Mini Blarg, Blarg in slow motion, not sure which one, but yeah, this should be smooth sailing here for Solo's gaming here, but it's still a decent amount of hit points to chew through. And I don't think that Kane is back.
42,000. No, he does not appear to be, and not equipped with a white spear either. May have a Gungnir on.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's taking on that here yet.
Out comes the Quake. Soon out will come the Mega Nuke. I don't believe that Kane happened to get a Star Veil up, so he may be the only casualty here. But still, this Bahamut will be a little challenge for Soapbox. We'll be able to get through this particular fight. And those two key item checks right behind this fight could be go mode for him.
We're seeing Charlie here going straight to the top of the tower first. Let's see what take on here. The take on leg.
This is a big moment. If Charlie pulls exactly Earth Crystal or Legend Sword from this spot, I would argue he's in the lead.
Earth Crystal, if it gates, and like if it ends up gating here another piece of the, because it's not directly required.
Sorry, I meant like Earth Crystal gating into Legend.
Yeah. Any required piece here, yeah, would definitely be right here. But so we'll start into that advantage a little bit here because effectively here, he's doing his grind right now, so we'll potentially save time depending on any grinding that he's got left. And we have another key item. We have an item for Edge to throw here, but we also have another Adamant armor.
So Adamant 2, I mean, yeah, the only thing better than one Adamant armor is 2. We got 2. That Kane is probably going to be the recipient of the second one and do a fair amount of damage as a result. Speed up Soapbox Gamer's full clear of this moon, likely what he's going to end up doing in this situation. And as you mentioned, this is an excellent grind for Soapbox, so we'll probably be leaving this moon in the mid-40s and probably at high enough levels to handle the Aromas.
Yeah, like this will be like, yeah, again, right now here the plot on, well, with Rex start taking down the Rubicon, we'll see if, top of tower does have that value.
Oh, there it is.
Now, if the second piece of Forge is on Earth, say in the Fey March, or
we found
Dwarf
it.
Cap.
It is behind Sheila 1.
Oh boy.
We are in no mode, and I would argue, despite looking at, the 6 objectives that Soapbox has and the 2 objectives that Charlie's completed, I mean, Soapbox intentionally faded that top of tower, is probably going to commit to his fate and believe that there is nothing up there, full clearing the moon instead. I would argue Charlie is just jumped out to a huge lead.
Yeah, like Charlie presumably he'll be checking the we'll find that darkness crystal here. Already has that package here. Only has to really do the ribbon. Like, yeah, this is gone from a huge Soapbox Gamer lead here to potentially a huge advantage for Reckless Charlie.
Yep, it all comes down now to how quickly Charlie turns in that pad, check that Fey March freebie, whether he decides to do the Fey March bosses while he's down there, and also how quickly Soapbox can get through this moon and get back to doing his K main checks.
I mean, Evil Will here is, hey, we got Adamant armor, so we're not as concerned. But still, Evil Wall is not fun. At the Masamune altar.
And though I just mentioned Charlie with 2 objectives to Soapbox Gamer 6, those are lighting up very quickly on Charlie's side. Now up to 4 objectives, having, of course, launched the Falcon, which he just did recently, and now destroying the Super Cannon. He is catching up very, very quickly.
Dutch has, could get, that fifth and access to, to the, already has access to a fifth objective here. Again, 6 and 7 here. If, no, that's an if here, because if you're behind here, you may want to take risks. And right now, it's the risk is do you not check your freebies.
Yep. Eventually, Charlie's has to head down to that same march. Need that darkness crystal. There's only so many things he can do. Really, the only deviation he can make before finding something to take him to go mode would be to head down to Dwarf Castle, which he is doing right now.
Need a third adventure?
I mean, we could technically have 3 people in our party at one time that can equip it. But not happening for Soapbox Gamer, and probably not happening for Charlie either. That Cecil, wherever he is, very well hidden.
Yeah, and Salty, with that here has 3 checks remaining on the moon here. So before eventually, Soapbox Gamer is going to head back to Earth. Having that Luca key here, if there's an Earth crystal up there here, those are checks here that Soapbox Gamer is likely going to commit to first before checking everything else. So
there are our DMs over there at Dwarf Castle.
Yeah, which the DM here can be mass here, but yeah, we're just. Reckless is just going to be full steam ahead here. We're going to see here who's going to be at the Crystal Sword altar shortly. And again here, the clock is starting to tick here for Charlie, depending on how how many checks Soapbox Gamer does and what order he gets. He gets stuff done in, once he gets back to Earth here. But we know here that Dwarf Castle isn't the right path. But on Charlie's side, there's only so many paths you can go here before without a darkness crystal. So depends on what order he checks him as first here. Does he end up going to darkness crystal here and decides maybe I'll fade Sheila?
Yeah, I agree. If it was just Sheila 1, maybe. But if you have a pad to turn in, I think Charlie probably does it. Probably the worst case scenario, however, for Soapbox would be if he finds an Earth Crystal here, because that may drive him up Zot before he does the other checks he's already faded.
Well, I mean, he already has 1 check he may be committed to here with that Luca key. Sealed Cave is also not a quick check.
That would actually be terrible for Soapbox Gamer. So imagine this: decides to chase that Luca key before chasing anything else because it was on the moon. And you followed the chain that you've committed to. Finds an Earth Crystal down there. Does that on top of Luca Cave. Oh, that'd be such a time sink. Oh, no, we found a part.
And Edward quickly gets dispatched to prayer duty in the city.
We found a bard, and we lost a bard. I'm not sure how it happens. Can't explain it.
I guess we will find out here what Luca's gifting here, and we got underground access.
Hooray! And a pass, which is not, you don't hate to see it, as it is. However, Reckless Charlie may very well be able to just swag walk from the ribbon room as is, because that could very well be his final check or his final objective before he heads down to the Romas.
At the very least here, Soapbox Gamer here won't need to come back to the moon here to finish off scene after presumably full clearing, or what looks to be a full clear of the moon. But yeah, given the way everything's laid out right now here, it's not going to be the advantage that the pass may give you, depending on how everything falls into place.
Absolutely. The pass is a great find for Soapbox because he has stuff left back to do on Earth. But in reality, the pass is as valuable as it gives you an advantage over your opponent. And Charlie, having that pass may save 30 seconds to a minute to exit and take Troya rather than just swag walk from Ribbon. So it's not what you hope to find. Charlie, however, hoping to find a Darkness Crystal and will down here in the Fey March.
Yeah.
The question is, will he head on down and take these Fey March bosses, which would give Soapbox Gamer some time to catch up, because we know there's nothing of value behind those locations.
Yeah, like it's how much does a Kinato, how much a Leviathan scare you off?
Based on the levels of my party right here, it scares me a lot.
He's this, and is going to exit out here saying, no, I don't want either of these.
Charlie making the right move here, likely turning in the pan, and will be our first runner in go mode if so.
Yeah, because aside from, look, Charlie's done Baron base with here, so that pan check is, the shield check is all that's left here now.
Yep. The only way this can go south for Charlie is if he decides to launch that Lunar Whale and rise it on up without checking Sheila.
My concern is, though, did we see Charlie? We didn't see Charlie go into the Self Cave, right?
We did. He got his, I believe he got his Sork Robe from that pan bonk. He actually did the Sylph Cave prior to doing Tower.
Ah, okay. Right, so he's going to find here that forge piece. He's going to find go mode, so once he's here, it's a trip to Mist to burn it down, and then just one Bahamut fight, maybe a bit of a grind.
So that right there is the moment that Charlie's heart jumped into his throat when he realized, oh crap, I'm in go mode.
Soapbox here, we do see a crystal sword. We still don't know where Cecil is.
A very nice weapon for Mister, not appearing in the seed yet.
Yeah, we're looking at this point here. I think we're down to Zot or Giant for that.
That is correct. So good on Charlie for remembering here to turn in his package before he goes to the moon. It would have been a bit of a time thing to head up to the moon, do your ribbon room, and be like, wait, where's my crystal?
Yep, and then you don't have a pass. That's another trip back here. But yeah, like this is like half an hour ago here. This was advantage Soapbox Gamer, and by a significant margin. In that half hour here, it's gone. It's not a complete 180. It's, you have a feel for Soapbox Gamer here, but yeah, this is, as a viewer here, this is great to see. Like this is pretty remarkable, if you ask me.
It is. This has been a race of just twists and turns all throughout. Charlie jumping out to a big lead early on just based on his equipment finds. Finding that Avenger that Soapbox did not. Diving that hook route a little earlier, feeling a little confident behind that Adamant armor and Avenger, but running into a brick wall called Odin, not once, but 9 times. Soapbox Gamer, however, doing the remainder of his overworld check, finding value in that cave magnet, finding a Baron key, and then one-shotting Odin, seizing the lead from Charlie. But both racers feeling behind, not knowing what the other one is doing or has done. Soapbox decided to take a few risks, faded a few checks, and faded the one check he couldn't afford to, which was the top of tower, instead doing a Penguinator special. Advantage again Charlie when he found that Legend Sword up there. So I'm not sure if we're going to have any more twists on this particular race, but who knows? We very well could.
You know, like this has been incredible to watch here, and this is a race here that, frankly, I'm glad not to be not racing, and that not just because of the required twin heart.
So it's still, Charlie's still not out of the woods just yet. He does indeed need to do, he's completing the forge right now, and he'll have parity on objective completion numbers with Soapbox Gamer. However, he still needs to not only do the ribbon room, he also needs to do a bit of a grind, because his party just isn't to the levels that soapboxgamer has gotten to from full clearing the moon.
Yes. Now there's options here in terms of the grind here, and that can even be as simply as I'll just take a few random encounters on the way down.
Yep, and that was a relatively free fight as well in Ribbon Room, so that's 200,000 experience for Charlie's party. Probably not enough, but a good chunk of the way there. The question is, though, do we find any sirens for sale anywhere?
I haven't seen any, but I don't think we've done a full shop here. Like we, I don't believe they weren't in Fame March here. I recklesscharlie I believe checked the may have checked the Dwarf Castle shopper. I don't think anyone's checked the Tarmer shop.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I believe we've seen Bacchus, and I believe we've seen Coffins, as well as Evelyn had a Leviathan and Elixir. So yeah, Siren's still MIA for the time being.
Yeah. As for there, I know there's one in the chest here, but I think that was soapboxgamer who found it here, and I believe that was the mad ogre chest in Upper Babel.
Yeah, a bit of a womp from that trap chest, and we're looking for a little more than just one, unfortunately. Dupe Blitz not on this, so we can't exactly dupe it. In fact, I'm not sure if we can actually dupe items. That'd be nice.
Yeah, like we're gonna see Charlie here. Go to him now. If you find the edge here, even stealing science here becomes it's an option that's there. I'm not sure how viable it would be here if it turns out here that this is one of those seats where you can't find sirens for sale, because you know a 10% chance there where you just won't be able to buy them.
Yeah, we definitely have options here. Stealing Fire is an option. I think Charlie, however, will do as you said. He'll probably just take potentially a few random checks down here on the Lunar Subterranean to get his levels, or maybe just depend on LST bosses. Or we've seen him, recklesscharlie, being reckless as he is, may just try to go in with the levels he currently has on his party. And he could definitely pull it off with 2 Avenger Canes. He'll have 2 Adamant Armors as well to back them up. And as long as he gets his nerfs off, maybe very well capable of getting through the Realm's fight.
Yeah. And a white shirt as well for Rosier White Mage here. So even she would get some magic protection here to lessen here the blows here from the straight counter nuke here, the big bangs. I didn't get I don't recall if I've seen Rosa get Cure 4 yet here, which would certainly make the fight a little more comfortable.
Yeah, definitely no Cure 4 yet on Charlie's side. Could be there shortly after Ribbon Room. The 200k XP there, I'm sure Charlie's very much depending on.
Yeah, recklesscharlie says no to the edge here. Gonna go straight down, probably to the Ribbon. Yeah, may decide to take a random count on the way down to the Ribbon Room here. May just go down to the Ribbon Room here and then play by ear from there.
Yep, may also be willing to check Masamune on the way down. May be willing to check White Spear Ultra on the way down, which had that King Queen Evelyn, so another free 62k-ish XP. May be enough to push Charlie into more comfortable terrain. We'll see if he decides to check it or not.
Yeah, with with the Zerker setup here, you are able to take the Zroma's fight here at lower level, comparably lower levels here, but how low one goes here depends on how comfortable you are with having to nerf a Big Bang, for example.
Right. Nerfing Big Bangs, of course, will be very important because even though he has 2 Avenger and 2 Adamant Armor, those Canes are fantastic early game. With an Avenger, they're doing 1, 2, sometimes 3,000 damage a hit. Cane here, unfortunately, in endgame, it's still going to be doing 2,000 to 3,000 damage a hit. It's a far cry from a well-equipped Edge or a well-equipped Cecil, who is just trucking the Romus for 5,000 to 7,000 to 9,000 damage a hit. So we'll likely see Black Holes. We'll likely see multiple Big Bangs on the Romus fight without significant amount of levels.
Yeah, excuse me here. Yeah, we're seeing a bit of a adjustments here. Right now, okay, because Charlie doesn't have the second item armor yet here, does have, you know, getting that power shirt onto the second cane. Just make sure everything is well prepped here. Because he had, you know, that rough hiccup here down the hook route here. Yeah, he may be wanting to make sure that there's no more hiccups going forward. So just want to make sure here that you're well prepped here to be able to get through the fight the first time.
So an interesting choice here on Reckless Charlie's side, deciding to Berserk up Rosa, and maybe attempting then to Avenger up both canes, but that Bahamut has already begun counting.
Yeah, and yeah, it looks like there's a it does have one star on one of the canes here. We'll have a wall on. Well,
Tell
what is going? Yeah, with that curse ring here, Tell is prone to miss a little bit more often, and fortunately here the wall cast did.
So this is dangerous for Charlie. If he doesn't kill this Bahamut in the first go-around, he's not going to wipe. However, that Rosa, that cane down there, going to wipe. Looks like we may get a second attempt on a wall. This time it actually does land on Rosa, so Kane at the bottom is going to die, most likely to this Mega Nuke. As will Tella. The other two characters are berserked, so that bottom Kane won't be getting XP from this fight itself.
Yeah, I don't think here that cast next Telcast's going to get on time here. With the timing now here, with the reflected damage here, we won't see another Mega Nuke from Bahamut here. And we'll see, you know, how the levels shake out here. Maybe Charlie does feel comfortable here, even at these levels here, if he can get Rosa the QR4. Rosa does have that QR4 now, so we'll see what prep there is. There's left to be done.
And at 139.08, Charlie is our first racer with a crystal. So ready for that Zeromus fight, or is he? Does he feel comfortable enough with his level to take this fight on as he is now?
Well, one thing we aren't going to see here is a full swag walk. It's going to retool his party. Well, retool, you know, his party here. Make sure he's got the setup he wants. With that life cast, looks like we are going to see at a few more fights here to prepare.
Yep, I think by seeing this tent and that life cast that you mentioned, we're probably going to see a few either boss checks here for levels, or potentially he may just turn on random encounters and try to find double gold dragons or a silver and gold dragon, both of which actually, if you life glitch, will give superior experience than some of these boss checks up here. And also maybe trolling around for a few lunar trap chests.
However, that timer that Charlie had here is going to get a lot shorter because soapboxgamer is headed up the Tower of Babel. And we know this is where go mode is.
So we had a lot of twists this race, and we may have one more. Soapbox has that pass as well, has the levels already. We could have dueling Z fights before you know it.
And Soapboxgamer already has the levels advantage right now. So the sooner he can get to this fight here, if both players go into this, Charlie needs to get into the Z fight soon here in order to maintain the advantage he's got here. If they go in level here, Soapboxgamer is going to have the advantage because we'll be able to put up more damage at once here.
Yeah, this is very dangerous for Charlie. Charlie is still trolling for levels right now, still looking for monster trap boxes. Find the second one, a behemoth.
Yeah. This is gonna be.
This is fine. This is about 120k XP.
Yeah.
But this Rubicon fight is going to be over very, very quickly. Soapbox, with that Legend Sword in hand, will be forging within 2.5 minutes in that Z fight, within 4 minutes most likely with that pass. That is a very short timer for Charlie to get a few grind fights in and walk his way on down to Z.
Yeah, like I'm not sure, you know, what Charles thing next to, like, in his shoe. Like, if I were in Charlie's shoes here, I would be going down to Z after this fight here and basically just going full YOLO at this point here. Yeah, his canes just both canes are now over 2,000 here. Looks like he is. That's it for him. He's going probably. Yeah, this is he's going into. He's headed further down here. Looks like he's ready.
And hats off to Soapbox for making the correct call here to go back to top of tower and give it a try. He had many options available to him. I don't know if he checked Luca Cave. He didn't do the Fey March bosses, so he could have been just sent on a wild goose chase, but nope, Rubicon's down, had that legend sword, maybe kicking himself thinking, crap, I faded this like 40 minutes ago. I'm in trouble. And you're going to see, if he could run faster on that overworld, he would.
Yeah. And we are seeing Charlie here making the beeline down the lunar core. And right on, I see a Z. I see a blue flag here. It's got a Z or a Z depending on where you are in the world here, as well as a question mark here. I had already had a very well caffeinated drink here, so I don't need to sleep here. So, do you have an explanation?
Well, I mean, maybe they just like they're telling us what their favorite letter is. I mean, mine's more C than Z, but either way. No, in fact, we can't move the Romus as much as I keep on asking Scala to move the Romus at Lion Cave because people sometimes need a surprise. So, the Romus has a different sprite every time we throw the crystal at him. And I believe there's far over 500 sprites courtesy of resident artist Scala Kitty. And they're the question that we like to ask when it is time to reveal what that sprite is. And if Harumph, if you would like to do the honors.
Yes, it's whose rear end are we gonna upend this afternoon?
Wiggity Swooty, whose booty is going to get the booty? Oh, that doesn't work. I can't use booty twice. Anyway. Charlie going into this fight with, I'm not going to say questionable levels, very doable levels, but this is not a free fight by any measure.
No, here, like, we are. It's a fight here that we're likely gonna have to see a nerf here. We're likely going to see at least 2. Yeah, like this is not over by any stretch of the imagination. We found our food.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he was. I mean, maybe he wasn't behind the giant. He wasn't behind Zot. He was here the whole time.
Yeah, mine here, like, I guess, you know, the weather isn't, well, it's mainly indoors and... Yeah, indoors in Tower Zot here, you get motion sickness on the giant. Yeah. I don't blame him for going on vacation.
Really a staycation for him. We're on the moon. Fusoya lives on the moon.
Through here, yeah. Neighbors with Antlion most of the time.
Apparently he's a great neighbor. It takes very good care of its lawn.
Yeah.
But we have our 2 Avenger Kings swinging away, doing questionable damage. Mr. Average here doing about 2,000 to 3,000 a hit. That is not the very high number you're looking for.
Yeah.
We did get that nerf off, however. Down goes Tella, where he will remain for the remainder of this fight. And Rosa thrown out a Cure 4. Those numbers may be high enough to skip the refill Big Bang, but will not be high enough to skip the 3rd Big Bang that comes shortly afterwards. So we will have to nerf at least one more time. And with Soapbox Gamer, with his crystal in hand, going down the path route right now to get to his Aromas fight, Charlie had little room for error here.
And like neither of these players, I don't have any room for error. We do see the shake on Charlie's side here. Looks like we are going to see an attempt here to nerf, just in case it did. Just in case Z did not tip here.
So the worst case scenario for Charlie here would be a nuke on Rosa, kills Rosa, and you just have two very angry Kanes who are unable to pick her back up. It looks like, however, that may have been a slightly early nerf. We're about to find out.
I think the timing might be okay here, but we'll find out. Again, we'll find out shortly here. Yeah, that was fine here. The one that got nuked here did tank here, but yeah, the next one could come very quickly here because we are. He was probably very close to tipping, so gonna get that life 2 out here, but we'll see.
Yeah, we definitely hit refill over on Charlie's side. Yeah. He should not attempt to nerf here. He should attempt to cure 4, but attempting to nerf instead.
Nerf here, which could be trouble here.
At this point, Rosa is probably dead to the nerf Big Bang.
Yeah.
That lower Kane as well may be dead to the nerf Big Bang, depending on how high that counter nuke hits for. So it may just be up to center Kane to get through this.
Yeah, it's iffy right now here. We'll see how the numbers shake down.
The nerf Big Bang is
Everyone
good.
lives. Everyone lives.
Cure 4 quickly. Cure 4. We have a nuke coming out or rock. We're getting close. We're gonna get a black hole, but it doesn't matter. Those Avengers do not care. But yeah, that was a reckless but very, very well calculated play. Charlie is looking like he's in the home stretch here. Soapbox has his crystal thrown. Silk Web is out, and he's off to the races as well.
I mean, there's that pause. Oh, so we're not into the medial phase yet. There are still ways here for the fight to go sideways, but those options are becoming fewer and fewer as we speak.
Yeah, very exciting fight. Charlie very close to just living on the edge, but pulling it out. Rock should be coming up very shortly. I don't think we see another Big Bang.
Yeah, there's the rock. There's Meteo.
There's Rock. Okay. We are in the home stretch.
Yeah. One of the Kings dodged. Yeah, this is. And there's the crack boom.
That crackle pop. 149.30. Reckless Charlie wins this race and goes to 1-3.
And that's an incredible performance, an incredible comeback. And we do have a Reckless Charlie in the booth with us. And GG's on an incredible race.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Neobari, that was quite the scene. Thank you for giving us that gem.
Charlie, I have to ask first and foremost, how's your heart rate right now?
About 80% of what it was during the Z fight after Kane went down. Yeah, you know, it's still going. I mean, it was worse during the my Odin hubris of beating my head into a wall repeatedly. But you know, after my thought was going to be, I'm just going to do everything possible I can and see what comes of it, and go back down, maybe fish for some wood arrows.
So yeah, given here that how that Odin fight here did provide a significant roadblock on the way here, how did that fight here affect your mindset in terms of prioritizing things in terms of the strategy once you got underground here to I guess try to come back here? You had to felt that you were feeling considerably behind at that point.
Oh, absolutely. Pitfall after an hour, I feel just not good about it at all. My thoughts were, okay, I saw that it was either Ruby or Elements at top of tower, and both of those are relatively free, especially with Adamant. And I have the tower key, towers and super cannons and objective. I need to do that. I have the pan. I'll do those two right away. Had 10 key items from there. Thought I would get some XP in Dwarf, and then see if that was a Cecil, see what Fey March was, and then kind of plan it out from there. Certainly, with seeing the Fey March freebie also being darkness, definitely made me feel like even worse that Moon Access is open right there. But as soon as I ended up doing top of tower, I thought, okay, maybe if my opponent faded this for a bit, then I might get lucky. And it sounds like that's kind of what it came down to. But yeah, I knew I just needed to get to the moon as soon as possible, regardless of what happens, and just figure it out.
So like in terms of I guess approaching the final Z fight here, going in here, like it took a few levels here. Did you think here that was it considered to be maybe extended grind here to make things a little bit safer here, or even going to the fight a little bit earlier? Just try to squeeze as much of an advantage as you can here. Your thoughts on the strategy for the final fight once you got all your objectives done?
So I wanted to definitely get that last objective done first, and then from there, without sirens, my thought was immediately on LST traps. Like, I don't have sirens. I don't want to walk around on that low level of the LST. We'll go up, take a couple of traps. Want to get Kane and Rosa at or close to get my second Kane and Rosa at or close to 2,000 health, so that maybe a direct nuke and a big bang wouldn't exactly kill, or maybe it'd be close. Felt okay with it with a white shirt too on Rosa, and of course the second Adamant from Ribbon Room. And at that point too, I just had to go. Like, I felt behind. Like my internal clock had already spun past a couple of times over, and I felt like regardless of what happens, I just need to go.
You do have this being your fourth, but you've got one more match, which I believe is against Denari, if I'm not mistaken here. I'm not sure what the map here shakes out in terms of like a potential tiebreaker scenario here for you here. But how are you going to approach the final race here of the group stage?
I mean, I'm just going to get a little more practice in this week, and we'll see what happens. Denari's quite good at the game. He's been doing this for a while. So I need to be on my game, and it's going to be Wednesday night. Definitely looking forward to it. Like I said, he's a strong runner, and he's also just a great streamer to watch if you're not already following him.
Robert, do you have any any other questions here for Charlie?
I do have one. I mentioned at the top of this broadcast that people shouldn't be fooled by your 0-3 record as you entered this race. You had read 3 very tough opponents and had 3 extremely close races. I believe the total amount of difference between you and your opponents in your previous 3 races was a total of 12 minutes. So extremely close. Again, another very close race. Winning, I believe, tonight by about 2.5 minutes. What is it with you in close races?
I mean, have to provide content for folks, I suppose. After the first 3 races, I figured with the way that the schedule shook out, like, if I get 1 win, great. If I get 2, then awesome. Unfortunately, I didn't play as well as I could have. There were a lot of things to kind of take away from those spots. But in this particular race, without being able to find kind of that extra gear from a Cecil or a Fu, it was kind of back to just more traditional kind of play.
Well, it paid off, and that was a heck of a comeback coming from that little kerfuffle at Odin. I'm sure you may be wanting to practice a little more Thunderstrike strat in the future, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Having to try to learn that on the fly in the middle of a tournament race. Yeah. I've done it with Eddie, but not with Kane. I'll save this seed and just use this as practice, and we'll see what happens.
Well, GG's once again here, Charlie, for putting on a heck of a show here for for everyone today, and good luck here in your next match.
Much appreciated. Thank you, Harumph and Rybon for the comms, and sorry that I had to do the harp check, Harumph, but it's just the way things break. Ersa, thank you for the tracking. Again, Neobari, thanks for the seed. Thank you folks for watching, and I'll catch you folks around.
Take care, Charlie. GG again. And with that, we are also joined by Soapbox Gamer. Soapbox, congratulations on a very difficult seed.
Thank you very much.
I want to see here. We saw both runners here find their way underground here at around the hour mark or so. Around the hour mark here and afterwards here. Having gone underground here at that time, in that sort of time frame here, what were your thoughts in terms of what strategy you would approach here? Because we saw you here do the Penguinator special here to try to presumably get an advantage that way.
I honestly felt behind. At that point, I was like, get objectives done, get going as fast as humanly possible, and then hopefully everything else would unfold as it should. But I didn't. As soon as I found that legend sword up there later on, I was like, I probably lost.
So I guess when you went back to Earth here, there was a potential here for some for a rabbit hole here. Was there I guess your thought in terms of going here to that tower in terms of making that check instead of going through what you were committed what was committed to I guess the key that seal cave, sorry. And seeing here what that would have provided here, what led to that decision.
Well, that was later on, I'm guessing. It kind of cut out. I just wanted to make sure I understood what you asked.
Sure. Here, after when you came back here, you had a Luca key here, but went to Tower Zod here to do that check here prior to, I guess what else you had available at that time.
At that point, when I was holding the Luca key, I was like, that may take too long. And usually, every time I go down there, unless it's an actual requirement, I don't tend to actually dig anything out of there. I honestly thought about it. Normally, I don't fade the top of tower either that much, and it was just one of those things where I was like, maybe I should keep going because, at that, once I found the darkness crystal, I ended up going to the moon. I was like, maybe the moon will have all of it because it'll have 5 different checks, and then if I come back, I don't have to worry about the tower thing. I guess I got scared by Ruby at the top because when my current party was sitting there when I went up there in the first place, it was, I don't know if I had enough, and I should have just went up there anyway. I would have been like, I don't care if I have an ice claw, if I don't have an ice claw, just go. And I just didn't for some reason, and of course that's where it was.
One thing I actually did notice here from early on in the seed here, and I'm a little curious here, and because I just unusual because I hate to mention Cave Magnus here, but with the orb grind here, was that an intentional orb grind, or was that something that just kind of worked out?
Oh, I dropped an input entirely and fat fingered it. That was entirely my fault.
Well, yeah, I may have I may have just committed to the bit here, but it was I guess it did provide a bit of a hiccup here, but you did get your way through through that here. I was just curious. See, it was something really cheeky.
I had a really good laugh about it to myself because I'm sitting there, I was like, okay, left D-pad, please hit the button and move over. No, I don't want to get hit by Glib 199 again.
Unintentional or not, that was a very nice recovery, and I'm sure that nice chunk of XP helped you a little bit on your hook route, which you got through on your first attempt, which was very impressive. And one thing that I mentioned at the top of this broadcast as well is that your group is a complete mess, man. Blitz Whip. So many people were at the top at 2-1, tied up there. People losing left and right, winning left and right. A whole lot of parity. Unfortunately, today you dropped down to 2-2, but you have at least one more game coming up. Who's it up against, and when is it?
It's Friday against Y2 Sky at 7. And honestly, if you told me at the end of the weekend I'd be sitting at 500 or better, I'll take it.
No shame in it in the group that you're currently in. In fact, it's, as you mentioned, something to be proud of with the high caliber of player that you got matched up with. So you have one more game coming up, and it's kind of like win or go home. How are you feeling about it?
I'm glad I actually have a shot. I mean, realistically, I entered this tournament like, let me see how I fare against everybody in my group in general. Realistically, if I got the goose egg off the win column, I probably would have been happy with it. But to sit there and have a chance to advance, there's nothing better you could ask for. It'll be drama on Friday night.
And I look forward to watching it.
Yeah, as will I here. GG's once again here for putting on a heck of a show here for us today here. And all the best in your match on Friday.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I also appreciate being restreamed this weekend again. Thanks to the guys running behind the scenes. Thanks to Rom. Thanks to Novari. Thanks to Ravon. And thanks to everybody else that was, that makes all this stuff possible as usual. This is always a great time to me. And I still appreciate being around every step of the way.
And with that here, that brings a conclusion here to our broadcast this afternoon here, but we've got more free enterprise action coming your way. Later on today here, we've on this channel, Free Enterprise here, we have a matchup in the Blitz Whip. We have Denari in the same group. This this messy Blitz Whip group here. We've got Denari versus Cubs Rule at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific here, and then we have our late night feature in the Artemis Pro group. We got David versus Frankie Bones, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Right now, we are going to be rating our sister channel, Free Enterprise 2, for Asmani Games versus Prof Render in the Full Moon group.
Yep, no spoilers over there. This was a fantastic game to cast, a fantastic game to commentate, and a fantastic game for other people to watch who happen to have not seen it yet. So no spoilers for people over in Free Enterprise 2. Haramfu, it was a pleasure co-commentating with you. Thanks again, Aresta, Neobari, for all the work behind the scenes, and to both of our runners for putting on a fantastic show. And we hope to see you again later this evening.